When you look at the work of great photographers, you can often tell exactly how they made their name. Their photographs are awe-inspiring, visually stunning, and sometimes maybe even thought-provoking. But occasionally, you'll look at the work of a so-called great photographer and think, how on earth is what they're doing anything better than what I'm doing? I mean, look at this photograph by Martin Parr, the seagulls out of focus. If you or I had have shared this photograph, then we'd be sure to get a barrage of comments saying, huh, you could have got the seagull in focus. In this video, I want to explain exactly how I think these so-called great photographers can get away with blatantly breaking the conventional rules of photography, and show you how us mere mortals can follow the same principles in order to learn three vital lessons. Oh, and if you want to know why Martin Parr's seagull's out of focus, make sure that you stick around to the end of the video. To explain, I've come out to this rather uninspiring bit of barren wasteland where there's a few suspicious smells on the air, and it's not a very inspiring day either. You're probably thinking, Tom, you're going to struggle to get an interesting photograph there. And you'd be right. But I think the work of all great photographers have one thing in common. And it's not necessarily the conventional things that we expect, like impact through a subject or majestic lighting. No, it's that everything that they do has a purpose. From their thought processes before clicking the shutter, to what they put in the frame and what they leave out, to how they technically go about setting their camera settings, how they compose the photograph, and yes, what they put in focus and what they put out of focus. They leave no stone unturned. Ooh, I forgot about this one. That's better. Assuming you already know a little bit about photography, when you go out with your camera, you probably do think about how you're setting it and how you're composing your scene around a subject. But can you honestly say that everything in the frame is done for a reason? No, probably not. I think it's this meticulous attention to detail that sets the great photographers on that step above and gives them license to break the rules. At the end of the day, if we have a reason for doing it, rather than just feeling like a rebel on a given day, then it adds more gravitas to our pictures. Let's have a look at a practical example in action. Here, I'm setting up for a shot. My purpose for it is to show off the bleak and banal nature of the landscape where I am today. I've found this rather gnarly looking pallet that was strewn across one of these mounds of earth, which, as you can probably see from the filth of my attire, I've just dragged into position. I've also decided to choose a wide-angled lens to show off the width and expanse of the banality. And you might also have noticed that I've placed the horizon line really quite close to the top of the frame. This has got the same effect of showing off the expanse of the banality going all the way off into the distance, rather than using the conventional rule of thirds, heaven forbid. Instead of neatly aligning the lines of these tracks leading you directly through the photograph towards the horizon beyond, I've decided to put them on a slightly more jaunty angle. They still lead the eye, but they break those conventional rules again. But my reason for doing this is to show off the higgledy-piggledy nature of the landscape and draw the eye on angles rather than directly through. I think it's also good that I've come here on a rather dull day, because although it would probably make a nicer landscape photograph if this scene was bathed in sunshine, it completely goes away from the intent that I'm trying to get across through this picture. There is one thing that I'm slightly concerned about though, that I haven't really got a reason for yet, and that is the positioning of this palette. Because I've placed it here intentionally, it just looks a little bit too staged for what I'm going for. I also feel like I've got a bit too much grass in the foreground as well. Although this photograph isn't necessarily going to be aesthetically pleasing, I still want it to be aesthetically formed, so your eye still follows the lines and stepping stones through it, rather than just thinking, that just looks like a mess. So what I'm going to do is drag it just over here a little bit and maybe prop it up slightly in this ditch. There we go. Let's see how that looks. Actually, I think this is probably looking exactly how I would like it to look. I feel like I've considered everything that I've done and I've got a reason for it. And yes, I may have broken the rules in some places, but having reasons for doing that hopefully adds a little bit more meaning and intention into my shot, rather than it just trying to be visually impactful. Okay, so having a reason and a purpose for doing absolutely everything with a photograph isn't necessarily going to make you the next big name in photography overnight. Indeed, that example that I've just shared with you isn't going to win any competitions anytime soon, let alone gather more than a couple of likes on social media. Also, becoming a great photographer is not often about what you know, it's who you know. It's about finding an audience for your photographs and maybe getting a big break with a gallery or publication that's willing to run with your work. You could also waste hours and hours of your spare time filming YouTube videos and gather an audience slowly. I don't know what kind of idiot would do that. But I think having a reason and a purpose for all the choices that we make when putting together our photographs helps us to learn 3 vital photography lessons. Firstly, it makes us slow down and think a lot more about the photographs that we're producing. Instead of heading out and just snapping away at everything and anything that takes our interest, we are purposefully thinking about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And by doing that, it just helps us to make our photographs more meaningful. Secondly, it helps us to learn through questioning. When you first saw that photograph by Martin Parr with the out-of-focus seagull, I'm guessing that your initial reaction was something like, ugh, I don't like that, the seagull's out of focus. But now you've watched this video up to this point, maybe your reaction might have changed. Instead of thinking, I don't like that, you might be thinking, I wonder why he did that. What is the reason for it? And by asking these questions and being intrigued by why photographers have done something rather than just rejecting them because they've broken convention, we can learn from other people's influences. Thirdly, it gives us that license to break the rules. Yes, our photographs might not be conventional, but if somebody asks us, why have you done that? Then instead of saying, oh, I was just feeling a little bit rebellious, we can give them a meaningful answer. And I think that that goes a long way to helping us to become more individual with our photographs, making photographs that mean more to us rather than always trying to kowtow to what everybody else thinks that we should be doing. And you never know, if you do give reason and purpose to everything in your photographs, you might, just might, one day become a great photographer, photographing out-of-focus seagulls just like Martin Parr. You've probably gathered by now that Martin Parr's seagull is out of focus for a reason. I don't know about you, but where we live here in the UK, seagulls are known for getting in the way of our seaside trips, often dive bombing us for ice cream or fish and chips. Parr wanted to make this seagull look as if it was photobombing his scene, making it look like he was focusing in on the beach scene beyond, but then at the last minute this seagull comes in and completely ruins the shot. But you can see how the seagull's positioned, looking into the frame, helping our eye to be led to the people on the beach beyond. There's obviously method in what he's done. The seagull hasn't just photobombed the scene. Parr placed it there for a very good reason. This photo might not be conventional, but it definitely gets across what Martin Parr's trying to say in this photograph. All we have to do is go beyond that, oh, I'm not quite sure I like that photograph because the seagull's out of focus, to understanding why he's chosen to do what he's done. If you want to learn more about breaking the rules, then why not learn from a master that's made millions of dollars from doing exactly that? Watch this video next. I'll see you soon.